Hey, welcome to Fahrenheit Performance Podcast, episode number 70. Today we have Matt Bury.
Hello, Martin. Hello, everyone.
Better Age Fitness out of Queensland, right?
Brisbane, Queensland.
The wrong side of Australia.
Well, some say the best place in the world.
Some say.
There's a famous saying. I'd rather be. I'm a Queenslander first and an Australian second.
So nice.
Yeah. So we all believe Moreau.
Welcome to the podcast. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah.
It's great being here in Singapore.
Yep, you are. You are Luke Chua's coach.
I am.
Bryce's coach. Do you any other Singapore athletes, triathletes coach?
Louisa Middleditch.
Okay.
Mang Young. And have worked with a couple of other the juniors, but we had Kay and Lowe come to Brisbane
Training camps.
December and all that kind of stuff. So the Singapore triathlon scene is very strong. It's got and they're not paying me to say this. They've got a great board. Singapore Triathlon's doing a great job. Eugene does a great job in coordinating things, getting resources to the athletes, and supported beautifully by Sport Singapore. Yeah. So very lucky to be working in this part of the world with these great athletes.
So how long were you in Singapore for?
I've been in Singapore. I leave on Wednesday, and I'll be in Singapore for 23 days straight. This is my second time.
Okay.
I'm pretty much in Singapore every 6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think it's important with the Singapore athletes who train abroad to be back home.
Yeah.
I think it's everyone's job to create a legacy. There was a great marketing campaign for sport. I'm not too sure it was, but the tagline was, "You can't be what you can't see."
Yeah. Okay.
And I think it's really important for all sport through participation. Participation drives high performance, because the more athletes you have in a system, you get a better system.
Or better, the bigger the base of the pyramid,
Yeah.
the higher it will go.
Yeah, and the great thing with the athletes that I work with and my business partner Warwick work with is the Singaporean athletes are very keen to get back to the industry here or the market here in Singapore. So it's not hard to come back.
Yeah.
It's great coming back because we've got a lot of, as I said, support from Sports SG in regards to science and all those kind of things. So it's actually really, really beneficial in this part of the world.
Yeah. And it's actually quite amazing that Singapore doesn't do even better in the sports, because the infrastructure is all here. The athletes are keen.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time where there's going to be one superstar athlete that comes through the ranks.
Another movie quote or another saying is, "If you build it, they will come." And I think Singapore have done a great job with their infrastructure. They've built the system, and now they can look at the physiology of athletes coming through. And not all. And I'd like to see every athlete in Singapore to be tested and all want to do triathlon.
Yeah.
But I assume that they may have interest in other sports.
I think swimming, table tennis, badminton are always stronger.
Yeah. So swimming in particular in Singapore has done really well. There's a bit of growth in cycling as well. So one of the other things that we want to talk about or foster in this market is some fostering skills around all the sports.
Yeah.
More as a talent ID for all sports, and I think that grows the participation pie, and that's why coming here and getting an understanding of the culture in Singapore, because we don't want to be seen as the wise men from the south coming up and telling everyone how to do it. Not at all. Both Warwick and I have had over between us probably 60 years experience in high performance sport. So what we're trying to do here is to instill some of our wisdom, have a chat to the local people and find out what they know, because I'm a lifetime learner. That's what gets me up every day. I've always got something new to learn.
Okay.
And working here with a lot of coaches and support staff in Singapore, I've learned a lot. And so one of my passions is, get athletes to the 28 games, but also I'd love to see Singapore absolutely reign supreme in 2029
in the home court SEA Games. Nice, yeah. And a lot of the I think the cyclists and the triathletes are gunning for that SEA Games.
Yeah.
It hasn't been here for quite a while, and then it's going back, and then in front of your own family, or friends, everything would be great.
And as you heard earlier, I'm a proud Queenslander, but I'm also I consider myself 49% Singaporean.
Oh, you do you?
Yeah, I'm self-appointed.
You look like it.
Yeah, I'm self-appointed, but hopefully everyone agrees with that. I've said it a few times, and no one said no, I've not. So I'm very parochial about who I support. So yeah.
So if you see Singapore versus Malaysia on the soccer and what,
Yeah,
you'll be going for Singapore.
absolutely. And 2029, I'll be going to all the sports I can.
Oh yeah, that'll be fun.
And cheering for Singapore.
So then, what's your favorite Singapore food then, and drinks?
Well, I'm very partial to a beer because
Okay.
I'm an Australian.
Yeah.
But
I know a fridge full of beer over there. We can have one.
fantastic. Well, that's in danger. The other thing I've discovered here is a lot of the street food, and I think they call them hawkers.
Yeah, yeah.
the hawker centres. Some of the best food you'll ever have for about $8.
Yeah.
And
So when I go back to Perth, there's some food courts which would be the equivalent, right?
yeah,
I can never go into one of those things and pay $15 for a laksa or a satay because it's worse than it tastes here, and it's 2-3 times the price. I just can't do it. I'll buy steak and eggs because
where I'm staying at the moment is near Zion Road. And
River Valley.
yeah, they've got a couple of Michelin star.
Yeah, hawkers down there.
Yeah, so I feel almost embarrassed that I'm only giving $8 for this amazing food.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
So
fantastic.
Let's rewind a bit. Have you always been just triathlon coach, or like how did you start? And let's just walk through what you did in the early days. And
Well, I'm of an age. I'm 57 years of age, and so this may seem strange. When I started in my sports journey, there was no triathlon.
yeah. Me too. I remember Ironman used to be what the surf lifesavers did on the beach.
Yeah.
Catch the flags and swim out. And
And can you believe that Ironman Surf Lifesaving in Australia never marketed the name or registered the name and let it go, which is a funny story. And the first I knew of triathlon, there used to be a show on television on a Saturday afternoon in Australia called Wild Water Sports.
Channel 9.
Yeah, and they would show the Hawaiian Ironman over a couple of weeks, and it started off just as a bet between three blokes. Who was better, a swimmer, a cyclist, or a runner? So that's where it started. My coaching career, in my life, I've only been a full-time coach for the last 12 years. I've been a business owner in the advertising industry, a stand-up comic.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey.
So if you look at a lot of people think they're three diverse industries to be in to be a coach, but there is a central point there, and that's called communication. And how to
And delivering the message.
selling the message. Selling the message, and that's basically what we do. So in regards to triathlon coaching, I started basically coming in as I was a swim coach before I was a triathlon coach. And I had an opportunity to work with a couple of high performance coaches in Queensland, to a couple of the swimmers I was working with through to compete in triathlons.
Oh, okay.
I fell in love with triathlon myself, and started working. So my first real triathlon gig was working with a young junior athlete in Australia who we changed federations to New Zealand, and probably the first race I coached was a World Cup in New Zealand. So I really didn't serve an apprenticeship, I suppose, that you normally should do.
You just jump right in.
So I felt a little bit underdone in regards to what I could do around bike skills.
Okay.
And also running.
Yep.
But luckily, there's a very good system in Australia at the time, and very generous coaches from triathlon and other sports. So I did a lot of professional development.
Oh, cool.
I spent my own time. I would be working with triathlon coaches, supporting their business, giving my time, and all I'd ask in return is to gain knowledge. So I did my own university of triathlon.
Apprenticeship, School of Hard Knocks, right?
Yeah, and even when I went back to swimming, even though I was a swim coach, I worked for a while with an Australian swim coach called Vince Rayleigh. He's an Olympic coach, just to learn how to be a high performance coach. So it's interesting what you can learn from other people, and the generosity of people in sport is amazing, because they were more than happy to have me on board and help me through help me through my career.
Sometimes when you are those people, people think that don't realize that they need help too, right?
Yeah.
And if you're there willing and able to help them, they'll just say, yeah, sure, why not? Come along, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I know with my current business partner, coaching partner, Warwick Dazelle, Warwick's always been a mentor of mine before we got in together, and he's been very helpful, and he has a lot of knowledge around sports science that I've used.
Yep.
He has a really amazing strength around running and run coaching.
Okay,
so that
complements what you're doing then.
Yeah, so we work really well as a business together, and it's been a great journey.
So you don't actually coach all that many. It's not like every Tuesday you're at the track with 40 people doing trains, right? You only got how many athletes are you actually coaching?
We'd like limiting it to around about 15, and there's two of us. We
also 15 between the two of you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the way we set up our coaching week.
Yep.
So Monday morning we run 2 swim sessions and 2 run sessions in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a talented swimmer and you've got to work on your running, you'll go to a running session first with Warwick, and then you'll come back and swim with me.
Yep.
Or vice versa if it's the swims that you work on. So particularly, we're really big on skill development.
Yep.
We want our athletes or triathletes to be black belts in triathlon.
Yeah.
So it's not all just about endless miles and endless Ks and different intervals and what have you. We want them to master the skill expertly time and time again. So we need that time, particularly with both running and swimming. It's such a technically based kind of pursuit. I just need the time to have a little bit more one-on-one.
Yeah. So are all your athletes? You're not doing squad sessions because some of them are here, some of them are there, and then.
So we'd like to think that we're seeing each of the athletes that we coach on a 4-week basis.
Okay.
Louisa at the moment is based in Perth.
Yep.
So she sends video through.
That's it.
So this week we had some video on her swimming.
Yep.
I had Michaela, who's one of our Australian athletes here in Singapore.
Yep.
I wanted to demonstrate some drills, so I just went to the pool.
Yep.
I got my camera out, got Michaela to do the drills. I wanted Louise at sea.
Yep.
And we set. That's the beauty of.
I thought you were going to do the drills.
Yeah, I think it's much easier. The coaches coach and athletes look good.
So then each of the athletes on a bespoke program is completely individual to them.
Completely individual because everyone has different needs. There is commonality through some of the group in regards to what races they're doing. We do have athletes that compete against each other and have a similar race schedule.
Yeah.
So they'd have a similar periodisation or training plan, but from a technical development point of view, everyone's a complete individual. So that's why we limit the amount of people we can work with, and it's just so we can get quality, the quantity out there, because we're a results-orientated business. High performance by nature means that the person is excelling at the level that they need to be with them. We want to ensure
they're optimized and they're doing what they're living up to their own potential, right? What's what you're trying to do.
We just want them, and the reason we call our company Better Age Fitness, we just want them to leave better than they arrived.
Yeah, sure.
As an athlete and hopefully as a person.
So how do you choose? How does one come on the lucky 15?
We recruit basically through. We have trials with us, but before we get to the trial, we'll have a look at. We fill in some questionnaires. We work with another company called Brood, who'll put together some analysis, psychoanalysis that we can look at.
Yep.
We really want to get down to the nitty gritty of what the value of.
So you have your eyes on the athletes before they even approach.
Yeah.
Before they even approach you, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and so that's a careful. You have to be careful the way you do that, because I also respect the relationship athletes have with other coaches.
Yeah, of course.
And we're not home wreckers. We don't
want to be the dick that goes and goes and steals the athletes away from someone else.
Absolutely. Right? So in a lot of cases where we've picked up athletes, we've worked with the coach and athlete, and continue to do that, because as I said, I was very fortunate to have a lot of professional development by coaches in high performance.
Yes,
And so you've got athletes and a lot of coaches and athletes want to stay together on the journey because they have a really amazing relationship. And that's something that we don't want to get in the way of.
Yeah.
So we're happy to work with coaches and athletes.
Okay.
But the 15 we've got at the moment, I purely work with Warwick and myself.
Yeah.
And on a bespoke program. If you want to come in, you can have a chat to us. Have a chat to us with your coach is the preferred option.
Yeah.
So everyone knows what's going on.
Yeah.
And because the coach has guided them to a point, we only work with individuals who want to race in international races.
Okay. Is it only short course as well, like Olympic up to Olympic distance?
We're dabbling in. I used to do some long course stuff, and then concentrated back on just world triathlon events.
Yeah.
Short course triathlon legal races. We also got out of the junior and junior development space as well because we just wanted to work in the 19 plus market.
Yeah.
So the back end of your junior years, under 23, and then elites are probably the market that we're looking for. And we want individuals that can boss the levels that they're at, and we want to see how far they can get with their potential.
And they're not necessarily restricted by school programs and work and stuff like that. You need to, if it takes 40 hours, you need to have 40 hours, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got a very niche business.
Yeah.
So and we work outside a lot of the national federations. So I'm not employed by Tri.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you're like independent contractor, sort of.
We'd like to call it fee for service.
Okay, you're Ronan. So then, so that 15, if there's some shining star that comes along, you'll make space for them, right? It's not someone doesn't drop out for someone to come in.
We can make space, but they've got to hit a lot of the values. Are they aligned to the same values?
Yeah. So if someone checks all your boxes, you're not going to say, sorry, our quota's up. Yeah. You would actually.
And then we talk to the members, the other athletes in the group.
Oh, okay.
Particularly, we want happy and harmonious groups provide for better outcomes. So and we've got a great group of athletes who are supportive of each other. It's not like, well, I'm not saying they're the best of eight, but they do look out for each other and they do support each other.
Yeah, and you got like SEA Games athletes, right? You got Olympians in there. You got it's very elite.
Yeah, indeed. So, but everyone who takes something from the table brings something to the table.
Yeah,
and that's the important thing. And that's
okay. So Luke famously trains 30 hours a week, right? Yeah, and that's like 10 hours a week more than the next person in Singapore.
Yeah.
Is that because you feel that's what it takes to play at the game?
Yeah, especially in endurance sport.
Yeah,
you need to. It's not dogged 30 hours of chopping wood, carrying water.
No.
A lot of it is low impact stuff. We do a lot of skill development because one of the things, and I don't know if it's from this cohort or it's just different ways we may have been brought up.
Yeah,
we find that a lot of our athletes, we need to do a lot of work with bike handling skills.
Yeah. Well, in Singapore, there's not really a big ecosystem of cycling races.
Yeah.
If you're a cyclist, you could group rides and stuff, but there's no crits. There's no weekly crits here. There's no big races. You have to go to Indonesia or Malaysia to do
I'm even taking a step further back, like even doing a basic U-turn.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of development to do that. Even pedal up through the corner, a hub, little saying, brake late, turn late, bike straight, accelerate, just those little core things that can save huge amounts of wasted power on a bike race.
Yeah, it's
since and the other, and I always seem to say the other problem, but it's not a problem. The other issue that we deal with endurance sport male athletes in Singapore is national service.
Yeah.
Because and Luke was very fortunate that his was around the COVID time.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think that was a bit more of a free.
It's not just a triathlon model. It's all of Singapore has that issue, right?
Yeah, and the job there is to understand that because you can't shortcut 2 years of training in an endurance sports business. So therefore, someone who's 24, 25 Singaporean male is probably in the development stage of a 21, 22 non-Singaporean or non country that has.
That's because he hasn't had that gap in the
2 years is really big.
Yeah,
and you can't fudge it.
And it's right in the prime time of your life, right?
Yeah. Which is really great about the Singaporean athletes is they're really a committed bunch. They understand their place in the world. They don't like that. There's a few races we go to where the talent is a little bit just above where they're at, but
Yeah.
they punch above their weight.
Yeah, good.
So, and we had a great example of that. We borrowed some females from some other countries and had a mixed team relay in Hong Kong 4 weeks ago at the Asian Championships.
Okay.
Yeah, and the two boys from Singapore, Luke and Aaron, two charming gentlemen, obviously charmed these girls beautifully because they race like Singaporeans. So the young lady from Jordan, one from the Philippines, and
You're allowed to do that? You're allowed to mix the races?
this is where
I guess.
World Triathlon is really good, and the technical delegate from Japan. I went with my case saying that
Right, yeah.
that we wanted to get the experience in mixed team relay.
Yeah, because we didn't know those athletes.
But there are some spare ladies, and the Lydia from Jordan.
Yeah.
There are no other
Jordan.
athletes, so she's there has the opportunity to race.
Yeah, that's great.
relay and young Samantha from the Philippines wasn't in their A team, so she wanted to race, and
That's
so our World Triathlon said, hey.
Yep.
We'll just put you in as an Asian competition.
Yeah, like
and
international team or something.
yeah, it was great, and everyone had a lot of fun. And I told them just to have fun, but they raced like their life was on it.
That's
So,
why they had Sometimes once you get, you got to take that chance, right? You got the opportunity, you take it.
yeah, it was great to see, and it augurs well for. It was a great experience, some great data points for us to use for relays later in the year, especially in City Games.
So when all your athletes are training 30, 40, or 30, 35 hours a week, right? You can do it for 1 week, you can do it for 2 weeks, you can do it for 6 weeks, 12 weeks, 20 weeks. How do you keep them motivated, and how do you keep them from burning out?
Motivation is the responsibility of an athlete.
Yep.
It's not a coach. It's not a sports scientist. It's not a parent. It's not a sponsor.
Yeah.
It's something. In fact, high performance sport isn't even a sacrifice because you're actually doing what you want to do. So, Michael Phelps used to say, they said, "Oh, did you used to miss going to a lot of the parties when you were a kid growing up, Friday night birthday parties?" And he said, "No, not really, because I wanted to train and swim and race really well on the weekend."
Tony Hawk, a skateboarder, used to say that all of the other guys in the skateboarding industry used to party all the time.
Yeah.
And he was famous for just being the nerd of the guy. But the nerd wins every single competition, right? Because he wanted to practice.
And Phelps then said, "Now my career is over. You should see the parties I'm going to now."
I know. I'm sure.
Yeah, so I think he's won again. Yeah, he's pretty good. So what?
I guess it goes back to you want all your squad to be harmonious and happy, because if there's friction, you don't want to go to training because this guy you hate's there, and then your motivation would go down, right?
Yeah, and basically, honesty is the best policy, and if you're not feeling great, we talk. So how do you do 30 to 40 hours week after week after week?
Yeah, the first 5, I'm sure most people could do, but
so
25 is...
Yeah, and these athletes are really good on their recovery, their nutrition. Eating is not cheating.
Yeah.
So we get them to eat through the sessions.
Okay.
Yeah, so they know what they've got to get into.
Yeah, I remember Luke take gummy bears to the side of the pool and stuff.
Yeah, and if you look at other sports, do it as well. If you're keen on professional cycling, or maybe just fascinated in Tour de France, you'll see them eating all day.
Yep.
And the sprinters are eating
like 150 carbs in it.
Yeah, and they're not eating for today; they're eating for tomorrow.
Yeah,
because basically,
and they go straight to the masseuse after the finished stage.
Yeah.
Get an ice bath,
and that's what we're doing. Our guys are seeing a physio twice a month, massage at least twice a month. They got ice baths every week. Sleep is important. We track their sleep.
Yep.
But the other important thing, and why having a manageable number of athletes, the saying is the eyes are the window to your soul.
Yep.
They're much more than that. You can really tell where you're at with an athlete by just looking him in the eyes.
Yeah.
And the art of coaching is to understand where your athlete's at.
Yep.
Have the agility to change things on the run. And just flogging an athlete isn't going to get you the outcome. But of course, we're in the pursuit of technical proficient in this sport that they can do it over and over and over again. And if they're just throwing their hands or just going through a session.
So it's like the opposite of the tiger mom and the tiger dad. You're actually encouraging them. So then tell me this, what do you feel makes a good coach?
good communicator. A good coach is athlete focused.
Yeah.
And it's easy as you see around the world the coaches that do well in any sport are all about the players, not about them.
Yeah.
Other good qualities from a coach: lifetime learner. What you did last year is not going to be good enough this year.
Yeah, for sure. Especially when you're at the pointy end of the race.
And looking at the physiological outcomes that we'll need for 2029 for the SEA Games, like the running pace that we're doing now, won't be good enough.
Yeah, exactly right.
So So the coach's goal is to be in the present, but have an eye on the future. And how does that look? How does that work?
Yeah.
How are we going to do all those things? And but where it starts, and I keep on pushing this, being really good at the technique. If we've got the skills down pat,
it's almost like the base. It's like you're a swimming coach, right? I'm a swimmer as well, and it's when you're young, you get the technique. We get the technique. Even though I haven't been competitive swimming for so many years, right? I could go back. It's just a matter of training and get my endurance back, because my technique should still be roughly there, 90% there, right? So it's really hard to learn later on in life as well. So
absolutely, and with the athlete we had go to the Olympics in Paris, still most of the swim sets, well, every swim set is about over 30% is always just technical based, skill based, and bespoke skills. It's not just the group skills.
Yeah.
In swimming, as you know, you can be very generic around body position drills, because if you ain't got body position, you ain't got nothing, honey. So it doesn't matter what we do after that.
Yeah.
But then we're just working on the progression from there. We use, and I'm not trying to give them a plug, but we use the EOS Sport handsets.
Okay.
Because they're amazing. It's like a power meter for swimming.
Oh, it is. I've never heard of them before.
Have a look at them. What happens is it gives you data on every stroke per every lap.
Yeah.
But also gives you, the thing I like is, our goal is we're looking at a thing called propulsion.
Yeah. So you could be splashing your arms around but not getting any propulsion, right?
Yeah. So the guys now, it isn't about time anymore. Particularly with triathletes, you can become a pretty good pool swimmer. But the big danger to the triathletes is, as soon as you take them out of the pool and you put them in moving water, moving water is the devil's work. It really finds out how technically, because if you've got anything wrong, it gets times 400.
Yeah.
If there's any moving water and you've got any pause in your swim stroke, you're going
backwards. Yeah.
So that's why our catalyst for what does success look like is propulsion in swimming. So you can tell me you can swim 100 meters in 61 seconds, and that's lovely.
Yep.
But if you can got some propulsion over 55%, now I'm interested in talking.
Okay. Yeah. So tell me this, Ali, what makes a good athlete then, if for you to coach?
Values we're looking for is someone. What you need to be a high performance athlete is disciplined, coachable, and a robust body.
Okay. How much does pure talent come into that? 10%?
By the time we've got them,
You have to have talent to get there, right?
Or the talent's washed out.
Okay.
It's actually what happens in sport. Having worked in the junior and youth side, before this upper end, is there's always the early maturers who do well in sport. And there's a lot of studies around this. Particularly, I remember some study I was doing that they were talking about rugby, and that was a sport they used to coach as well, where a lot of the Islanders kids grow really quickly.
Yeah. So huge 13-year-olds.
Huge 13-year-olds, and if they're Kiwi, they're going to be the next All Black. They're going to be the next Jonah Lumo, or they're going to be the next big thing. But what they were finding from the study was the big kids weren't passionate about skill development. So as they got older, that worked out they weren't the best tackler. They weren't the
brute force doesn't work anymore when everyone's big as well.
And that's the same in our sport of triathlon, where the quick swimmer or the quick runner, they just had an early look to it. And what we thought was natural talent was actually skill or just their bodies matured quicker. And they got stronger. So by the time we get them,
because you're 20, you said 23 plus, right?
Yeah, about 19, 20 plus. Like to have some input earlier, particularly with their coaches. I'm stressing with their coaches. For technical development. But if they're still there, particularly in the female side, they've got tenacity.
They're still, they're still committed. They've got the discipline.
Yeah.
They know what it takes.
Yeah, and the great thing out to all the female Singaporean athletes that we've done some work with, and Helene, whilst I don't coach her, we've had we deal with Helene a lot.
She's going to be my next guest.
Yes, she's tough as teak as well. Louise are tough as teak. Like
That's because they live in Perth. That's why.
But that may be the case, and they're smart enough to leave as well. Wife yourself. I noticed you all are going to be staying.
Okay, so let's talk about marginal gains, I guess, a little bit, because it's always the big thing in cycling and I guess triathlon as well. What are the little things that you think all athletes should do as a bare minimum to be successful?
Listen to their coach.
Okay.
Believe in what they're doing. Look at developing the skills out of just the swim, bike, and run. The mental side of things.
Yep.
Working with a sports psych.
Yep.
Working with a nutritionist.
Sports psych.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a common thing in Singapore. But.
Yeah, and in any aspect of life, and particularly sport, if you're using a psych, it's not because you're crazy or you've got deficiency. Yeah. You're getting better, getting stronger.
Sharpening the tool, right?
Yeah, no stone left unturned.
Yep.
Particularly around coping skills. How we
and like you're not going to win every single race.
You're not. I think Roger Federer said that he only won, I think, about 35% of the shots that he.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so he was saying he failed 65% of the time. So it's okay. It's okay. Failing is not failing; it's learning. So what can I learn from this? Winning is also learning, because the way I am is, whilst we've had a lot of success and a lot of podiums, I don't think I've generally been, and maybe I need to see a sports psych or something. I never get that excited with a win, because I'm then trying to think,
okay, is this it?
What's next?
Yeah, this is as good as it gets.
Yeah, right? And maybe I'm just chasing the next hit. Yeah. So
everyone loves an underdog, right? And then when they're not the underdog anymore, it's like Pogačar right now.
Yeah,
it was great when he's winning. It's still great that he's winning, but people are starting to think, oh, this is getting a bit boring. This is the same guy, right? So
yeah, and the tide will turn, and then he'll come back, because champions always do the unexpected.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Luke again. Yep. Luke is doing a World Cup next weekend
in Chengdu, China.
Yeah, right. I think it's his first World Cup. He was telling me it was his first World Cup.
First World Cup, and it's whilst we will have KPIs around the race, but one of the things is he's stepping up a level.
Yeah,
the levels are in World Triathlon Development Cup. Maybe I toast.
Yeah.
The levels in triathlon are, in World Triathlon, is Development Cup, Continental Cup, World Cup, World Triathlon Series. So he's coming to the second tier events. So he'll be racing basically, a lot of the guys will be racing the next week in Yokohama in the WTS event. So he'll be racing predominantly a lot of people who are probably ranked from the top 40 to the top 150th in the world.
Okay, so that's the band of racing. Okay.
Yeah. So and people say, 150 in the world doesn't sound very good. They're very good.
Yeah, they're definitely smoke you any day of the week.
Absolutely. And those places change around a lot. So, so we're talking like they're on it the whole time. So I know this will go out before the event, and I hope Luke doesn't see it, but I don't want him to freak out about that, because I just want him to learn the difference of the levels.
Of course.
What's the next level look like?
Yep.
What can he learn in a race like Chengdu that he could take into a SEA Games? What experience can he take? What coping mechanisms can he? Does he stay true to his race strategy?
Yeah.
Is he agile enough to change away from the plan if it needs to?
Because these sort of races, let's say use first pack, second pack sort of mentality, right? If you know you have to be 250, but the first pack is slowly getting away from you, it's not like you just stick to your plan and say at 250. You got to stick with the first pack no matter what, because you're going to lose the race anyway.
Absolutely, and you got to fight for it.
Yeah.
And the great thing about it in the swim and the bike packs, the initial thought is, geez, I'm being dropped. How do I get back on? I'm using a lot of effort. I'm just not getting there. I'm just not getting there.
Yeah.
I can't sustain this effort is the killer.
Yeah.
As soon as that negative comes in,
Yeah.
you've just got to go, well, game plan's changed. I'm going to burn all the matches. I'm getting back on.
Yeah,
But,
I have to sustain the effort. No, I can't sustain it.
yeah,
There's no choice, right?
It's non-negotiable.
Okay, so what are these the sort of things that you're working with now? Because you've been here for a couple of weeks, and then it's next week, so it's 3 weeks by the time you.
Yeah. So what we've done with the lab, we know what we already know what the swim number is. Because the great thing about triathlon is that I'm a nerd. I'm a data nerd.
Yeah.
I know I look really cool with my crazy haircut and really cool moustache.
Yeah. But it's standard distances, so you know what this field's going to do. You know what this guy's done before. You know what.
We know what everyone's done before. We know what happened in the race last year.
Yep.
So we know
Same course.
they're swimming the reservoir, so there's no current.
Okay.
So it is what it
You'll
is.
know what temperature it's going to be.
Exactly. So we know what front pack swimming looks like.
Yep.
So it's not hope it goes well.
Yeah.
We know we give
Yeah.
our athletes the tools to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
We also ensure that our athletes race at the appropriate level.
Yep.
Whilst World Cup is a step up for Luke,
Yep.
it's not completely out of his wheelhouse.
Yeah.
I wouldn't design 5 World Cup races. I think we have a look at this one now, and I'd like to have another look at one in Korea, November. As a nice little
SEA Games warm up.
yeah, indeed. So, and I think it's really great racing in Asia because there'll be a lot of faces that he's raced with as well. So it's not like we're in Europe, seeing all these different kind of faces and different kind of peoples. Alex Yee ain't gonna rock up.
Yeah.
So and that
Christian Blumenfeld's not going to hammer you.
and that can happen in Europe.
Yeah. Okay.
So and that's a little bit off-putting.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So I remember back in the early days, one of my athletes, he was his first WTS event.
Yeah.
And it was in Sydney. And it was in Sydney Harbour. And he was a great open water swimmer at triathlon. And there were 2 brothers from Russia called the Polonsky brothers, and they both had missing teeth. And they said, and they looked at him and said, "If you swim near us, we'll punch you."
Oh, nice. It's mind games.
And he looked at me and I said, "No, they're only joking." He goes, "Are they?" I went, "Yeah, I don't know if they were or
Kick
not."
him instead.
But then he ended up in a bike pack with Alistair Brownlee.
Oh, nice.
And Brownlee's yelling at him to do things. And so that can be off-putting your first.
Oh, sure. And then, your hero is telling you to take a pull. What are you going to say? Sorry, I'm not feeling too tired.
Yeah. So the good things there, it's a good look-see.
Yep.
If we exceed our expectations, that's even.
And there's always an overlap, right, between, let's say, use Asia Cup and World Cup, right? The top Asia Cup and the bottom of the World Cup, there's going to be an overlap there. So
There's an overlap.
So
and there'll be athletes that he raced with in Hong Kong a couple of weeks ago. So so there's some familiar faces there. So I think it'd be great.
So then, what you've got 15 athletes. They're not always going to win all the time, and they're not all the same level, obviously. For each of the people, what is your measure of success for someone?
Their individual progression.
Okay.
And we even split it down to, because we know the levels that we race.
Yep.
We know the events that we're going to do. So if we need to be successful in a particular target event, we know what the swim speed's going to be. What we're not saying to athletes is you must come first in this race to be successful.
Like if 10th is absolute the best that they could do, and they did everything they could to get the 10th place, that still should be a win, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And at the time, because of just with the personality traits that we deal with, it's really hard to tell them when they come 10th in a race because they want to win.
Yeah, of course.
So
they want to win.
So that's why we do race intent documents before the race. What are you going to do?
Yep.
Our race review is reflective, not back on the race itself or the position of the race. It's how did you benchmark between your race and document? Because
you can only control what you do, right? So if you do your race plan, you do everything you can. You do you might even do a PB, right? And you still come 10th. Come on, you can't do much more than that.
And it's progression. And then we just look at like in any business, the gap analysis. What was between you and
ninth?
And what was how was your T1? How was your T2? Well, your power numbers the same that we're seeing in training. Yeah. Where you're like a lot of data. It's really quite the exciting thing is after the event, is getting all the information.
Before we wrap up, a few more questions for you. One would be, your favorite coaching memory?
Working with a particular athlete who was cut from a team cut from the national program.
Mm-hmm.
She believed in herself. I believed in her. She came back and she won the Oceania sprint title.
Nice.
And before that, she had podiumed at
Yeah.
3 races beforehand.
Yep.
And then the federation she raced for were doing backflips to get her back on. And she still,
Everyone loves a comeback story.
yeah, but to her credit, she just said no. She was more successful not being in the program and stayed out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so what does that
boss.
say? Yeah, she knew herself and she knew it was working. And it is linked to success, but the success I'm looking at is the person woke up and knew what she wanted.
Yeah.
And that's basically what I think what you want
Okay.
your athletes to do. Know who they are and know what they want.
Okay, so last 3 questions. Number 1 training tip for all athletes.
Turn up 15 minutes before the session starts.
Yeah.
And if you can, 30 minutes before it starts.
Yeah.
Be ready to go. Be organized. Pack the night before.
Consistency.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Big ears, small mouth.
Nice. I've never heard that before. Okay. Okay, how about number 1 diet tip?
Talk to your nutritionist.
Okay.
Don't talk to your coach.
Don't look at Instagram and TikTok about diet.
Don't ask the other person you're competing against. Don't ask another athlete.
That's right.
Because they don't know either. Yeah. Particularly if you're a female,
Yep.
with the issues around energy availability.
Mm-hmm. Well, what if for some people don't necessarily going to work for you?
Thin doesn't make you win.
Yeah.
You've got to have a robust body. And if you've got energy availability problems, your bones are going to start cracking. You'll get stress fractures. And
You're injured all the time. And if you're injured, you can't train. If you don't train, you don't get better. If you don't get better, you're not going to win.
Eating's not cheating, but seek professional advice.
Okay, then this is the last one. Number 1 life tip.
Be kind is always just be happy.
Yeah.
Because it's a real privilege to race triathlon all over the world.
Yeah.
I had an athlete say, be happy is what you need to be in life. And it's such a privilege to be doing triathlon. We're not saving babies.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really matter to anyone else other than us and a few, maybe 100 people if you actually do win the race.
Yep.
Doesn't matter if you come last the race.
Yep.
No one will ever know. But one of the great things about triathlon, and a female athlete said this to me once, how good is triathlon? We're in a major capital city in the world.
Yeah.
I'm riding my bike in my togs.
Mm-hmm. Close the roads for us.
Close the roads. The police aren't arresting me.
Yep.
People are cheering me on.
Yeah.
Tell me another sport where that happens.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah. The other reason to be happy is that we get to go to places on this planet that we've got no right in going to. And there's no way we'd ever get to these places. And there's a lot of people who are going just to go and work at a cubicle on a Monday morning.
Spend 30 hours as an accountant, right?
Yeah. So I'm not going to rain on any accountants' parade. They're great people and all that, but I'd still rather.
But everyone needs triathletes in this world as well.
Yeah, indeed. I'd rather see the sun coming up over a beach in Morocco than looking at the waterfall.
Yeah, sure.
But that's just me.
Yeah. Matt, thank you so much. Best way to get a hold of you? Better Age Fitness on Instagram.
Better Age Fitness on Instagram. Hit up Luke Louisa.
Mm-hmm.
Give Martin a call because he'll have my contact.
Yeah, I do know.
Yeah. But if you even just want to chat,
yeah.
If you're a coach and you want to, if you want us to help with your athletes, that's good. We're not here to pinch your athletes.
Yeah.
We're here to help, particularly Singaporean-based athletes and coaches. I'm here all the time. So if you feel that you might benefit from me coming to the squad sessions, happy to help. If you just want to know things, happy to answer questions.
No worries, Matt.
No worries.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mark.
Next time you come, let's go for a beer.
Indeed, we should have had more beers. This is
You didn't tell me.
well, it's daylight. We're going to set a standard.
No worries.
Thank you, mate.